Detective Linda Morrison had worked Christmas Eve shifts for 12 years, but nothing prepared her for the call that came in at 11:47 p.m. On December 24th, 2019, a wellness check at the Riverside Apartments. Unit 4B, the landlord reported a terrible smell, and neighbors complained about Christmas music playing on loop for 3 straight days. When she arrived with Officer Chun, the hallway reeked of spoiled meat masked by cinnamon air freshener. Mrs. Kowalski from 4A stood in her doorway, arms crossed tight against her chest. "It's that music?" she said, voice trembling. "Same 6 songs, over and over, for 72 hours. Linda knocked. No answer. The landlord, a nervous man named Perry, fumbled with his keys. The music was audible now, Silent Night, in a children's choir arrangement, tinny and cheerful. The apartment door swung open. The living room looked like Christmas had vomited across every surface. Lights strung so densely the walls barely showed through. A massive tree blocked the window, decorated with hundreds of ornaments that caught the flickering lights. Presents stacked 6 feet high. And the music, deafening now, coming from speakers in every corner. Robert and Diane Fletcher sat on the couch facing the tree. They'd been dead approximately 4 days. Both were dressed in matching red sweaters with reindeer patterns. Their hands were positioned as if holding invisible mugs. The coffee table before them held 2 cups of hot chocolate, now covered in thick mold. A plate of cookies, green and fuzzy with decay. Between them, a small figure, their daughter Emma's body, dressed in a green elf costume, positioned as if singing. Linda had seen murder-suicides before. This wasn't that? Officer Chun found the timeline pieced together in Robert's journal. Discovered in the master bedroom. The entries started normally enough excitement about Emma's school Christmas pageant, shopping lists, family traditions. Then Emma got sick. Just a cold, they thought. December 18th, Emma's fever won't break. Doctor says wait it out. December 19th, she's asking if Santa will still come. December 20th. The entry was mostly illegible, but Linda made out. She stopped breathing at 3:47 a.m. Diane won't let me call anyone. Says we can't ruin Christmas. The next entries were fractured, reality splitting at the seams. Robert wrote about Emma waking up, feeling better, wanting to practice her caroling. He described her singing, her smile, her excitement, but the handwriting grew more manic, the sentences fragmenting. She's so cold, but she says she's fine. Diane made her favorite cookies. Emma ate 3. Emma is singing. Emma singing the angels told her to keep singing. The final entry, dated December 23rd. We're going to have the perfect Christmas morning. All 3 of us together, forever. Diane. Made the hot chocolate with the special powder from the garage. It tastes like peppermint. The special powder was antifreeze? The medical examiner estimated. Robert and Diane died within hours of each other on December 23rd, sitting on that couch, watching their daughter's body propped between them, the music drowning out whatever remained of their sanity. But that wasn't the disturbing part. Not really. Mrs. Kowalski insisted on talking to Linda before she left. The older woman's hands shook as she held her apartment door frame. "I heard them," she said. "Christmas Eve, I heard them singing. All 3 voices. The little girl was singing Silent Night, and her parents were singing harmony." Linda assured her it was the recording, the speakers, the echo in the building. "No." Mrs. Kowalski's eyes were wet. "I know what I heard. 3 voices, live singing. At midnight on Christmas Eve, I heard that little girl singing about Holy Infant so tender and mild. Then the music stopped. Just stopped. And I heard her say, 'Clear as anything, I'm ready now. Mommy,' Santa came, then nothing. Just silence until you arrived." Linda checked the speakers. The system had a timer, set to turn off at exactly midnight on December 25th, but when they reviewed the power company records, the apartment had lost electricity on December 23rd due to unpaid bills. The music shouldn't have been playing at all. Officer Chun found one more thing before they sealed the apartment. Under the tree, a present wrapped in silver paper with Emma's name on the tag. Inside, a note in handwriting that matched neither parent's script. Childlike letters in green crayon. Thank you for the best Christmas. I heard the angels. They sound just like the Carollers. Love, Emma. The handwriting matched samples from Emma's school assignments. The apartment had been locked from the inside. No one had entered or left after December 23rd. Linda Morrison requested reassignment after that night. She never worked another Christmas Eve. Some cases close, she told the department psychologist. Some questions get answered. But there's a particular horror in understanding that some families will do anything to keep the holiday perfect, even if perfect means sitting in death's embrace, pretending the music still plays and the children still sing. The Riverside Apartments demolished unit 4B the following spring. Mrs. Kowalski moved out before then. On quiet nights, she told her new neighbors, she could still hear a little girl singing carols through the walls. 3 notes in particular, high and pure and impossible. Sleep in heavenly peace. The Fletcher family was buried together. At the funeral, the priest mentioned how they were finally at peace. Linda attended but left before the burial. She couldn't watch them lower that family into the ground. Couldn't stop imagining them arranged just as she'd found them, frozen in their perfect Christmas tableau, waiting for a morning that would never come. James Whitmore had played Santa at Pinewood Mall for 18 seasons. At 67, his natural white beard and genuine belly laugh made him the most requested Santa in the Tri-County area. Parents lined up for hours to get their children on his lap. He remembered names, asked about pets, and never once broke in character. The mall manager called him the real deal. December 23, 2016, was supposed to be his final night before retirement. The mall stayed open until midnight for last-minute shoppers. James arrived at 4 p.m. to find his usual helper. College student Amy had called in sick. The temp agency sent a replacement, a young woman named Nicole, who wore too much makeup and kept checking her phone. By 11 p.m., James was exhausted. His back ached. The fake snow in Santa's workshop set made him wheeze. But the line was finally dwindling. Just 7 more children. The 6th child was a boy, maybe 8 years old, alone. Unusual, but parents sometimes let older kids approach on their own. The boy wore a stained hoodie and jeans with holes in the knees. His sneakers were held together with duct tape. He climbed onto James's lap without smiling. "What's your name, son?" James asked, his trained Santa voice warm and gentle. "Christopher." The boy's voice was flat, empty. "And what would you like for Christmas, Christopher?" The boy leaned in close. His breath smelled wrong copper and rot. "I want you to remember," he whispered. "I want you to remember what you did." James's smile faltered. "I'm sorry?" December 24th, 1994, Route 47, you remember. The date hit James like a fist. The world tilted. Nicole was at the other end of the workshop, dealing with the last family in line, oblivious. "You were drunk?" Christopher continued, still whispering. "Coming home from a party. You hit our car. Killed my mom instantly. My dad died 3 days later. And me." He pulled back his hoodie. The left side of the boy's head was caved in, a depression of bone and tissue that couldn't exist on a living person. His left eye was missing, just a dark socket. "I died on Christmas Eve in the hospital. I was 8. Just 8. James tried to stand, but the boy's weight was impossible, like he was made of stone. "You're not real." "This isn't 22 years," Christopher said. 22 Christmas Eves I've been waiting. They told me I couldn't leave until you remembered. Until you said it out loud? I served my time, James choked out. 18 months. I paid. You changed your name. James Whitmore. Used to be James Whitfield. You never told anyone here, did you? All these children on your lap. All these parents trusting you. The man who killed a family and served 18 months for vehicular manslaughter. Drunk driving. You know what the plea deal was? Your lawyer got it reduced because it was your first offense. Because you cried in court. Because you said you'd never forgive yourself. The workshop lights flickered. James could see Nicole looking over now, concerned. but she seemed far away, moving through water. But you did forgive yourself, didn't you, James? Christopher's voice was conversational now, almost kind. You became Santa, you made children smile. You let yourself believe that made up for it. From my mother screaming. From my father crying over my hospital bed. For me asking why Santa let this happen on Christmas Eve. James was crying now, tears soaking his white beard. I'm sorry. God, I'm sorry. Every day I'm sorry. Say it, Christopher demanded. Say what you did. Out loud. I killed you. James's voice broke. I killed your family. I was drunk and I ran a red light and I killed 3 people and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The weight disappeared. James lurched forward, catching himself on his knees. Nicole was rushing over, asking if he was okay, saying something about calling an ambulance. The last family was staring. No child on his lap. No Christopher. But there on the red carpet was a small handprint, brown, dried blood. James told Nicole he was sick, needed to leave. She protested one more child, but he was already pulling off the Santa coat, the hat, abandoning the workshop. He drove home, hands shaking, and spent Christmas Eve alone in his apartment, staring at nothing. He threw away his Santa suit. Never returned to the mall. The manager called repeatedly, confused and hurt. James never explained. But that wasn't when it ended. Christmas Eve, 2017, James was living in a different city, working inventory at a warehouse. He'd grown his beard out but dyed it brown. At 11:47 p.m., his doorbell rang. Christopher stood on his doorstep. Same stained hoodie. Same ruined face. You moved, the boy said. But I can always find you. Every Christmas Eve, forever. What do you want? James begged. I confessed. I said it. I want you to feel what I felt, fear, pain, the unfairness of it all. Christopher smiled with half a mouth. See you next year? This became James's new tradition. Every Christmas Eve at 11:47 p.m., Christopher appeared. Sometimes at his door, sometimes sitting in his car. Once, in 2019, James woke to find the boy standing at the foot of his bed, just watching. James tried everything. Moving cities. Staying in hotels. Even in 2020, checking himself into a psychiatric hospital for the 24th and 25th Christopher. Appeared in the day room at 11:47 p.m., visible only to James, sitting across from him at the card table. You can't escape me, Christopher said simply. This is your Christmas now. Every year, forever. James stopped celebrating. Stopped acknowledging the holiday. On December 23, 2022, he wrote a confession, the real story, all of it, and mailed it to the local newspaper. Published his real name. Destroyed what remained of his reputation. Christopher still came at 11:47 p.m. on Christmas Eve. Do you understand yet? The boy asked. Punishment doesn't end when you want it to. You don't get to decide when you've suffered enough. That's not how this works. James is still alive. He's 74 now. He lives alone in a studio apartment, works part-time at a gas station. Every Christmas Eve he waits. At 11:47 p.m., his doorbell rings. And every year Christopher looks exactly the same. 8 years old, half a face. Asking the same question. Do you remember what you did? James always answers yes. He always apologizes. He always cries. It never matters. The boy never ages. The visits never stop. And James Whitmore will spend every remaining Christmas Eve of his life answering for 13 minutes and 1994 when he decided one more drink wouldn't matter. When he got behind the wheel, when he turned a family's Christmas into their ending. Some debts, Christopher reminds him each year, can never be paid in full. In December 1987, Channel 9 WKT in rural Pennsylvania prepared for their annual Christmas Eve broadcast. A local tradition since 1952, the station always aired a special program featuring community choirs, readings of A Christmas Carol, and messages from local religious leaders. Wholesome content for families gathered around their television sets. Technical director Bill Hammond arrived at 6 p.m. to run the evening's programming. The station was nearly empty skeleton crew on Christmas Eve. Just Bill, 2 camera operators, and station manager Frank Dorsey. The on-air talent had pre-recorded their segments. Bill's job was simple: cue up the tapes, run them in sequence, sign off at midnight. At 8:47 p.m., during a commercial break, the monitors flickered. Bill assumed power surge. But the backup generators should have prevented any disruption. He checked the tape deck, still running normally. The playback showed a commercial for Patterson's hardware store, scheduled to run for 30 seconds. But the monitors weren't showing the hardware store ad. Instead, the screens displayed a living room. Nice place decorated for Christmas, tree in the corner, stockings on the mantel. A family sat on a couch. Mother, father, 2 children. They weren't moving, just sitting there, staring at something off camera. The father's face was wrong. His expression was frozen somewhere between terror and resignation. "What the hell is this?" Bill muttered, checking the feed. According to every instrument, the hardware store commercial was playing. But the monitors showed this family. The mother's lips moved. No sound at first, then a whisper that came through the speakers. "Please. Please, he's listening. He knows when we talk." Bill reached for the phone to call Frank's office. The image cut to black. Then the scheduled programming resumed. Pastor Mitchell reading Luke chapter 2. Bill watched carefully. Everything proceeded normally for exactly 13 minutes. At 9 p.m., during the children's choir segment, the monitors flickered again. Same living room, same family. But now the father was crying silently. The children, a girl about 10, a boy about 7, sat rigid, their eyes too wide. Christmas music played faintly in the background. Silent night in a music box arrangement. The mother spoke again, louder now. "If you're watching this, please send help. 4772 Maple Drive. He won't let us leave. He said we have to have a perfect Christmas." Bill grabbed the phone. No dial tone. He ran to Frank's office, empty. The 2 camera operators had left at 8:30. Bill hadn't even noticed. He was alone in the station. On the monitors, the broadcast continued normally. But in the preview, monitor, the one that should show what was currently airing, that family remained. A new voice now, male, off camera. "I told you not to talk." The father flinched. "Please, Tom, let them go. Whatever you want, just let the children go." Tom, Bill knew that name. Tom Brenner, the station owner's brother, fired 3 years ago for erratic behavior. Accusations of harassment. Restraining order from his ex-wife. Bill had never met him, but Frank had warned the staff. If Tom ever showed up, call the police immediately. But this wasn't happening now. Couldn't be. The broadcast was pre-recorded segments, nothing live. Bill checked the timestamp on the recording. December 24th, 1984, 3 years ago. The image shifted. A man stepped into frame, tall, disheveled, holding something. A shotgun. Tom Brenner pointed it at the father. "We're going to have Christmas," Tom said calmly. "The perfect family Christmas. Just like the commercials. Just like the programs I used to make. No one appreciates tradition anymore. But this family will. You'll sit here and you'll smile, and you'll have the perfect Christmas." Bill's hands shook as he dialed 911 on his cell phone. 1987, no cell phones. He tried the landline again. Still dead. On the monitor, Tom was pacing. "You know what's wrong with people? They don't understand Christmas anymore. It's not about love or family or any of that bullshit. It's about perfection. The perfect image. The perfect broadcast. That's what I gave this station for 15 years. Perfect programming. Perfect Christmas specials. And they fired me. Said I was unstable. Said I made people uncomfortable." He pressed the gun against the father's head. "But you'll help me prove it. When they find this tape, they'll see. The perfect family. The perfect Christmas Eve, frozen forever." Bill realized what he was watching. December 24th, 1984, the Bennett family had Disappeared from 4772 Maple Drive, massive search. Nothing found. 3 years of investigation. No answers. No bodies. No suspects, though Tom Brenner had been questioned and cleared. He had an alibi, dinner with his mother in Ohio. But here it was. The answer. Recorded somehow, broadcasting somehow, 3 years later. The monitor showed Tom forcing the family to pose for photographs, making them hold mugs, making them smile. The children were crying silently. When the boy made a sound, Tom hit him with the gun butt. "Perfect families don't cry," Tom said. "Perfect families smile. This is going on television. This is going to be my masterpiece. The Christmas Eve broadcast no one will ever forget." The image jumped forward. The living room was darker now. The family wasn't moving at all anymore. Tom stood behind the camera, talking to himself. "I've recorded it all. 7 hours. Every moment. And I've rigged it to broadcast. 3 years from now. Christmas Eve, 1987, during WKT's annual special. They'll be running their perfect little program, and this will interrupt. Everyone will see. Everyone will know. This is what perfect really looks like. This is what Christmas really means: sacrifice, permanence, nothing changing, ever." He walked to the camera, his face filling the screen. To whoever's watching this, it's too late. This happened 3 years ago. These people are already gone, already buried where no one will find them. But now you know. Now everyone knows. Merry Christmas. The screen went black. Bill sat frozen. The station's programming continued on the main monitor, children singing, "Oh, Holy Night, beautiful, innocent, nothing wrong." But the preview monitor showed static now, and through the static, barely visible, the Bennett family's living room. Empty now, the Christmas tree lights still blinking. Bill found his legs worked. He ran for the exit. The door was locked. From the outside. "Keys gone?" Through the speakers, Tom Brenner's voice. "I rigged the entire building. You're locked in until midnight. You're going to sit there, and you're going to make sure the whole broadcast runs. Every second. My confession. My masterpiece. If you try to stop it, if you cut the feed, the explosives go off. Yes, Bill Hammond, I know your name. I know everything about this station. I built this station." Bill checked every exit, every door, locked solid. The windows didn't open. The phone was dead. He was trapped with 43 minutes until midnight. And the broadcast continued. The children's choir faded out. Pastor Mitchell continued reading scripture. Nothing unusual, nothing wrong. Just a normal Christmas Eve program. But Bill knew. Somewhere in that signal, somewhere in those images, Tom Brenner's recording was transmitting. To how many homes? How many families watching their traditional Christmas Eve program were seeing what Bill had seen? He found out later, none. At midnight, when the doors unlocked automatically and Bill stumbled out, Frank Dorsey was waiting in the parking lot, confused why Bill's car was still there. The broadcast had run perfectly, Frank said. Beautiful program. People were calling to say it was the best one yet. But Bill had recorded the preview monitor on a backup tape. When police reviewed it the next day, it showed exactly what Bill described. Tom Brenner. The Bennett family. The confession. The investigation reopened. Tom Brenner's mother was re-interviewed. Under pressure, she admitted she'd lied about the alibi. She'd been protecting her son. Police searched Tom's property and found the Bennett family exactly where he'd said. Buried in the basement, still dressed in their Christmas clothes. Tom Brenner had died by suicide on December 26, 1984. His note said only, "The broadcast is ready." 3 years. Christmas Eve, they'll all see. He'd rigged a delayed transmission. Set up equipment to interrupt WKT's preview, feed just the preview, not the public broadcast at specific times on December 24, 1987. A final act of spite, ensuring someone would find his masterpiece. But here's what made Bill Hammond quit television forever. When they dismantled Tom's equipment, they found no explosives. No way to lock the station doors. No mechanism to kill the phone lines. Everything that trapped Bill in the station on Christmas Eve, 1987, had no physical explanation. And when Bill reviewed his backup tape months later, he found one final detail he'd missed. In the last frame after Tom's face disappeared, before the static, a reflection in the television set in the Bennett living room. Someone standing behind the camera. Not Tom Brenner. A figure in dark clothes, impossible to identify, but with a hand raised as if waving. Waving at Bill, at the future. At Christmas Eve, 1987, WKT never aired another Christmas Eve special. The station sold the building in 1989. It's a storage facility now. But sometimes on Christmas Eve, the old electrical systems power on by themselves. The monitors in the abandoned control room flicker to life. And if anyone was watching, they'd see a family in a living room sitting perfectly still, while someone off-camera whispers, "This is what perfect looks like. Forever."